I want you to think about something that has been happening to you for the better part of the last year. You go to sleep, Bitcoin is grinding higher. You wake up, things look decent. And then 10 a.m. hits, New York opens, and within minutes, Bitcoin drops. Not randomly, not occasionally, every single morning, like clockwork. A sharp sell-off right at the U.S. market open. It triggers your stop losses. It liquidates the leveraged longs. It wipes out 12 hours of gains in under 60 seconds. And then it recovers. Until the next morning, when it happens all over again. Traders noticed it months ago. They complained about it on X. They built charts documenting it. They named it the 10 a.m. dump. And for months, the explanations were hand-waved away as a coincidence. Normal volatility, ETF flows, CME futures, institutional rebalancing. Nothing to see here. And then on February 23rd, 2026, a lawsuit was filed. And 3 days later, the 10 a.m. dump stopped completely. And Bitcoin ripped $120 billion in market cap in 48 hours. Everything I'm about to walk you through involves unproven civil allegations in an active lawsuit. No convictions, no criminal charges, and the firm has denied everything. But if even a fraction of it is true, it means retail Bitcoin investors have been systematically farmed by one of the most powerful trading firms on the planet. So let's get into it. The firm at the center of all of this is Jane Street Group. If you don't know that name, here's what you need to understand. Jane Street is a quantitative trading and market-making giant managing roughly $650 billion. They became one of the largest holders of BlackRock's IBO Bitcoin ETF, reportedly accumulating over $1 billion worth of shares in late 2025, which means they had enormous direct structural exposure to Bitcoin's price movement and the infrastructure to do something about it. The lawsuit was filed by Todd Snyder, the administrator winding down Terraform Labs' bankruptcy estate. The allegations are insider trading, market manipulation, fraud, and unjust enrichment, all tied to the May 2022 collapse of Terra USD and Luna, which erased $40 to $60 billion in market value and helped light the fuse that eventually blew up FTX. Here are the specific facts alleged in the complaint. Jane Street had a direct trading relationship with Terraform since late 2018. One of their traders, Bryce Pratt, was a former Terraform intern who maintained close personal contacts with insiders at the company. He allegedly set up a private Telegram group called, and I am not making this up, Bryce's Secret, to share material non-public information about UST's instability, liquidity moves, and depeg risks. Then comes May 7th, 2022. At 5:44 p.m. Eastern, Terraform quietly withdrew 150 million UST from the Curve liquidity pool, one of the primary mechanisms keeping the stablecoin pegged, with zero public announcement. Less than 10 minutes later, a wallet formerly linked to Jane Street withdrew 85 million UST from the same pool. That was described in the complaint as Jane Street's single largest swap ever. Hours before the full death spiral began, hours before retail investors had any idea what was coming. The suit alleges they unwound hundreds of millions in exposure at precisely the right moment, profiting and avoiding losses while everyone else got wiped out. And it claims those trades would have been impossible without inside information. Jane Street called the lawsuit opportunistic and baseless. They pointed to Do Kwon, who has since pleaded guilty to fraud and been sentenced to 15 years in prison, as the real cause of the collapse. They say they will defend themselves vigorously, but here is where this story takes a turn that is very difficult to explain away. February 25th, the very next trading day after the lawsuit, 10 a.m. Eastern arrives, and the dump does not happen. Bitcoin launches. It briefly touches $70,000. Ethereum jumps 13%. Solana gains 15%. The total crypto market cap adds $200 billion in under 48 hours. Bloomberg ETF analyst Eric Balchunas posted one sentence that went viral. The bogeyman has disappeared. That's the feeling on crypto Twitter today. Now let me say this carefully, because precision matters here. The Terraform lawsuit itself does not allege any ongoing 10 a.m. Bitcoin manipulation. Those are separate claims, unproven, circulating on social media. Mainstream financial outlets have noted that the U.S. market open is naturally a period of high volatility for every asset class, not just Bitcoin, and the pattern's disappearance could be coincidence, or it could be that Jane Street voluntarily adjusted their trading operations while under legal scrutiny, or it could be something else entirely. I am not in a position to tell you which of those is true. What I can tell you is that this is not the first time Jane Street has been accused of running exactly this kind of playbook. In 2025, India's securities regulator SEBI alleged that Jane Street generated approximately $4.2 billion in profits through manipulative derivative strategies, exploiting privileged access to systematically extract from retail participants, and froze over $560 million of their assets. That case is ongoing. 2 countries, 2 sets of allegations, same essential behavior. If what is alleged is true, what happened to your portfolio over the last year was not random volatility. It was not the natural ebb and flow of a maturing market. It was extraction, engineered, systematic, and deliberate. I'm angry about that, and I think you should be too. Not in a way that causes panic, but in a way that makes you demand better and pay attention to what these lawsuits uncover. These are allegations. The legal process will determine what is proven, but the timing, the lawsuit, the silence at 10 a.m., the $200 billion that flooded back the moment the pressure disappeared, that timing is not nothing. Drop a comment right now. Did you notice the 10 a.m. dump? Did you lose money to it? I want to hear from this community while it's raw, not 6 months from now when lawyers are still arguing about it. Share this with someone who needs to see the full picture, because the people profiting from that pattern were certainly not telling you about it. Subscribe if you want to follow this story as it develops, because this is not over, not even close.